بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. To mawqif or not to mawqif, that is the question. In previous episodes we have explored the explanations of Ibn Taymiyyah in his book رفع الملام عن الأئمة الأعلام, and in that particular book Ibn Taymiyyah has explained reasons for khilaf, disagreeing, based on technical matters. So the way he looked at it was from a technical aspect. What is a dalil qat'i? What is not a dalil qat'i? What are the matters that relate to ijtihad? Why do scholars have different points of view, different perspective upon the correct adillah of the Quran and the Sunnah? And what is the methodology that they're using in order to extract rulings from the Quran and the Sunnah, and why this leads to sometimes disagreeing within, or just having a diversity in their opinion that is absolutely correct, or disagreeing, some being correct but others not being correct, but being within a scope of what can be reasonably interpreted from the authentic matters of the Quran and the Sunnah. And then we also have seen examples where the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah fall into opinions that are clearly clashing with the qat'i proof, the clear-cut ahadith. However, we saw what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned concerning the way of dealing with that amongst Ahlul Sunnah. Today we shall look at what Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said concerning khilaf in this book here, which is Iqtida'u Sirat al-Mustaqim, which is a famous book by Ibn Taymiyyah. We are just going to look at some of the pages where he spoke about khilaf. In this book here, he speaks about khilaf from a completely different perspective. In Raf' al-Malam is a technical perspective. In this book here, it's from a spiritual perspective. What are the technical reasons for disagreeing, vs what are the spiritual reasons for disagreeing in the ummah? And we shall see that this is far more serious. So after discussing a number of matters in one of the chapters of this book, he comes to the matters of khilaf, and he mentions the story where Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, سمعت رجلا يقرأ آية سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم يقرأ خلافها. I heard the man read an ayah, whereas I heard the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ read this ayah differently. فأخذت بيده فانطلقت به إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فذكرت له ذلك. So I took the man by his hand and I went with him to the Prophet ﷺ and I told him about it. فعرفت في وجه الكراهية, and straight away I saw the unhappiness on his face. And he said, كلاكما محسن لا تختلفوا فإن من كان قبلكم اختلفوا فهلكوا رواه مسلم. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, you are both doing well, you are both right, you are both correct. Do not disagree, for verily the ones that were before you disagreed, and so they perished. Let me repeat that. Do not disagree. You are both right. Do not disagree. For verily those that came before you disagreed, and so they perished. The hadith was reported by Imam Muslim. Pay close attention. نهى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الاختلاف الذي فيه جحد كل واحد من المختلفين ما مع الآخر من الحق. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade the khilaf, the disagreement in which each one of the two parties is denying the truth that is with the other party. Keep this in mind. Understand this well. It's going to be explained further later on. لأن كلا القارئين كان محسنا فيما قرأه وعلل ذلك بأن من كان قبلنا اختلفوا فهلكوا. Because in this particular case, both the reciters were correct in their ways, and the reason for the prohibition, he said that it led the people who were before us to be destroyed, to perish. And this is why Hudayfa radiallahu ta'ala anhu said to Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu ta'ala anhu, أدرك هذه الأمة لا تختلف في الكتاب كما اختلف فيه الأمم من قبلهم أو قبلهم الأمم قبلهم لما رأى أهل الشام والعراق يختلفون في حروف القرآن الاختلاف الذي نهى عنه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Hudayfa said to Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, save this ummah, rescue this ummah, don't let them disagree upon the book like the nations have done before them. And this happened when he saw the people of Sham and Iraq disagreeing upon the letters of the Quran, of the Mus'haf, that was before the Mus'haf was compiled. This is one of the reasons that led, or this was the reason that led Uthman to start one of his most beneficial projects for this ummah, which was the compilation of the Mus'haf radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So Ibn Taymiyyah says this shows us two benefits. أحدهما تحريم الاختلاف مثل هذا. First one, the prohibition of disagreeing upon such matters. الثاني الاعتبار بمن كان قبلنا والحذر من مشابهتهم. Taking heed from those who were before us and not falling into what they have fallen into. Now, you think so far that here we are strictly in khilaf al-tanawwu', which is absolutely true. This is the absolute definition of khilaf al-tanawwu', and we cannot disagree, split based upon khilaf al-tanawwu'. However, pay attention to what's coming. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْاخْتِلَافِ بَيْنَ الْأُمَّةِ الَّذِي يُوَرِّثُ الْأَهْوَاءِ تَجِدُهُ مِنْ هَذَا الضَّرْبِ. But you will also see, he said, that most of the ikhtilaf in this ummah that is the cause for people falling into hawa, you will find that it's of this type. And let's understand what he means by this type. He says, وَهُوَ أَنَّ يَكُونَ كُلُّ وَاحِدٍ مِنَ الْمُخْتَلِفَيْنِ مُصِيبًا فِيمَا يُثْبِتُهُ أو في بعضه مصيبا فيما يثبته أو في بعضه مخطئا في نفي ما عليه الآخر كما أن القارئين كل منهما كان مصيبا في القراءة بالحرف الذي علمه مخطئا في نفي حرف غيره. Pay close attention. And this is that each one of the two parties is right in what he has affirmed for himself. This is your position. This is what you have affirmed. This is what I say. So he says, you are right for what you have affirmed for yourself, or fi ba'dihi. You're right about some of what you have affirmed for yourself. مُخْطِئًا فِي نَفْيِ مَا عَلَيْهِ الْآخَرِ. But you are wrong in negating what the other one is upon. So, how can that be? You said that, Abdullah, you said that khilaf afham, we can only say that one of the two parties is right. Khilaf tabad, one of the two parties is right. So, are we now in khilaf tanawwu'? Pay close attention. Right? This is the basic model. Now we see that in practice, there are some intricacies that are extremely important for a Muslim to understand. He says, فإن أكثر الجهل إنما يقع في النفي الذي هو الجحود والتكذيب لا في الإثبات لأن إحاطة الإنسان بما يثبته أيسر من إحاطته بما ينفيه ولهذا نهيت هذه الأمة أن تضرب آيات الله بعضها ببعض لأن مضمون الضرب الإيمان بإحدى الآيتين والكفر بالأخرى فإذا اعتقد أن بينهما تضادا إذ الضدان لا يجتمعان. So Ibn Taymiyyah follows saying that most of the jahl, of the ignorance, happens in negating what the other person is upon. And this is a negation that is either al-juhud or al-takdhib. As he said, juhud, it means that you are, juhud and takdhib, you are claiming this to be false, to be lies. La fil ithbat. So the ignorance is not upon what you affirm for yourself. The ignorance is when you claim the other person to be wrong, you deny what the other person is upon. This is where you fall into ignorance. This is where you fall into mistake. لأن إحاطة الإنسان بما يثبته أيسر من إحاطته بما ينفيه. Because the reason for this to happen, the reason for you to be right in what you say for yourself is because it is easier for you to know and understand what you are upon whereas it is hard for you to know everything else. Let me give you an example. You study a mas'ala, be it in fiqh, aqidah, hadith or tafsir. You studied in a book, you might study it with a sheikh. The sheikh is explaining the ayah, so you have a muhkam ayah from the book of Allah. You have different ahadith and maybe aqwal of sahaba that give you a clear explanation of this ayah. From this tafsir of the ayah and from this ahadith, you might derive a matter of belief or a ruling of fiqh. You understand this very well. This is something that you affirm, right? This is something where you know. This is not the matter of jahl. This is what you know now. However, you do not know everything that surrounds this particular matter. You do not necessarily understand where the limits are of this mas'ala. And you might believe that this mas'ala has a certain scope or a certain extent when in reality it doesn't. And the person that you are blaming is beyond the scope of what you are talking about. And that in reality, for what this person is talking about or the situation that this person is in, the reason for this person giving this fatwa, there are factors that are taken into consideration that justify this person being outside of the scope that you have affirmed for yourself. And I'm going to give you a practical example of what we are dealing with today that illustrates this, and it's core to what we are talking about with this whole fitna and similar fitan. A common topic that that particular gang likes to use is the matter of teaching in masajid or centers or events of the people of bid'ah. This is how it's presented. Teaching in the places, centers, schools, masajid of people of bid'ah. And we have the well-known athar of the Salaf, as well as the matter of the differentiation between muhkam and mutashabih, which I have explained in the first lecture of this series. So we have clear texts that tell us about, first of all, the level of danger from bid'ah and the level of severity of bid'ah. Second, the obligation of keeping away from the people of bid'ah. So a lot of people will have studied that. They know the ayat and the ahadith that are the foundation for this particular ruling and belief. And they have also read in the books of Aqidah especially what is the position of Ahl Sunnah towards Ahl al-Bid'ah. And we have all heard the big blown out of proportion statement of the Ikhwan Muslimin, which says that نتعاون فيما اتفقنا عليه ويتغاضى بعضنا عن بعض فيما اختلفنا فيه. We cooperate on what we agree upon and we excuse each other from what we disagree upon. We know that this statement as such in this general form is falsehood, and it's an open door to more falsehood. However, there is more to it. And if you go back to the scholars like Al-Albani and Muqbil and others, rahimahumullah, you'll see that they don't deal with this particular qawl in the same way as certain people do nowadays. Right? So, we see that this is what we would call a matter of minhaj. Right? This is maybe the biggest matter of minhaj that we're talking about. Why? Because there are a bunch of rulings that are taken from this in aqidah, in fiqh, in hadith and tafsir, right? And it goes back to here really, in a way. It's a bit of a compound masala. Anyway, where am I getting to is that sticking away from Ahlul Bid'ah, this is what you know. Now my question to you is, going to teach in the masjid of, let's say, Shia, some hardcore Shi'i Rafidi Ithna Ashari Imamiyya Masjid. What is the ruling upon doing so? So my first question to you is, Where does that fit in here? What are we talking about? This piece of knowledge, where does it fit in? Does it fit in what is really manhaj, qawaid, usul, etc.? Will we find this mas'ala in the books of usul al-fiqh, in qawaid al-fiqh? The answer is no. This mas'ala as such, do we find it in the books of aqidah? The answer is no. This is, people, a fiqh mas'ala. The question is, what is the ruling on a da'i of sunnah going to teach in masjid of Ithna Ashariya, Imamiyya, Batiniya, Shia? The answer to this particular question is primarily going to be one of 5 things: wajib, mustahab, mubah, makruh, or haram. Fiqh, ya ikhwan. Fiqh. So, this being the case, what is the rule? What do we base fiqh rulings upon? Do we have a text, muhkam, that enables us to deal directly with whether or not an imam can go, or a Sunni da'i can go and teach in a masjid of the Shia? Do we have a clear text on that, a dalil qat'i? Like we have, for example, what is the ruling of making ghusl when you have an injury that might get infected if you do ghusl? We have a clear-cut hadith that tells you, in that case, do tayammum. There is no doubt about that. You know, that's what we're talking about, and that's what the hadith is talking about. Do we have a clear hadith or a clear ayah of the Quran that gives us a ruling on a Sunni da'i going to teach in a Shi'i masjid? The answer is no. No, we don't. We do not have a qat'i dalil. So, Aba Yahya and Nadim, you people are Tullab Ilm, you should understand this. I know a lot of other people, Ashab PDF and Speakers Corners videos, they will not understand this because they never study. But people, you have sat in fiqh durus, you have studied books of fiqh with mashayikh, you should understand this. What is the dalil that we base ourselves on in order to extract a ruling on this question, which is a fiqh ruling? What's our foundation to answer that question? Answer is here in Manhaj, Qawa'idul Fiqh. Qawa'idul Fiqh. And the qa'idah that this particular matter goes back to is Daf'ul Mafasid awla min jalbil masalih. Avoiding an evil is more important than gaining something positive. So now I ask you, Ya Aba Yahya and Nadim, the matters that are going to come from this qa'idah, are these qat'i matters or are these ijtihadi matters? They are, without a shadow of a doubt, ijtihadi matters. So when you say that the adil, and we shall look at that in more detail inshallah ta'ala in another episode on this tabloid style website manhaj.com, when they bring you the fatawa of the kibar al-ulama, right? Not only their gang, the kibar al-ulama, al-Fawzan, Abbad and others, hafidhahumullah, and they say, no, that should not be done. Why? What's the dalil that they bring? What is the dalil that they bring? They say, because it might mislead other people to thinking that it's okay to attend that masjid or that markaz or that event, etc. And then although they will get the good from that Sunni da'i, not being able to make the differentiation between haqq and batil, they will then be affected by all the other batil that comes in that particular markaz. Right? So that is exactly the qa'idah that I have mentioned to you. Daf'ul mafasid, repelling an evil, is more important than making a good happen. But how do you know this is going to happen? Can you say with certainty that every time a da'i goes to speak to a bunch of deviants, his followers are going to go now and hang out with those deviants? And one of the most blatant examples of this is when Shaykh Tahir White Hafidahullah Ta'ala addressed the nation of Islam. I read this appalling, I don't know how to call it, thing that Amjad Rafiq wrote, giving Shaykh Tahir White a rant on what he did, claiming that something along that Shaykh Tahir, obviously he says like Tahir White, Shaykh Tahir White has now become a marketing tool for, what's the guy's name? Farrakhan. Dear viewers, I ask you with just like a little bit of insaf, fairness. Aba Yahya and Nadim, you too. A little bit of fairness. Tahir White, PhD graduate from Medina, has been chosen to teach in the masjid of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I have personally attended a few minutes. I caught just a few minutes at the end of one of his lessons, and this is why I call this man a sheikh, because he is beyond just having studied these matters here and just be able to from his memory just bring you things in a row. No, like when I heard this man teaching, I recognized the ilm throughout these levels. The way this man has presented these masail of aqeedah on that day to the Western crowd was just amazing. It was not just regurgitating a translated version of what he had heard in the lesson. No, he was able to work with the dalil in order to make it accessible and explain all the context, etc. It was a believer, when he sees that, he feels an unbelievable level of happiness and satisfaction to see that Allah has granted us a blessing of people that can spread the haqq like this. And we Westerners are proud of him. We are proud to have somebody like that who is able to explain those matters to us, because we need it. Back to what I was talking about. With insaf people, from the followers of Tahir White, people that hear him talk about aqeedah day in, day out, people that hear him talk about ibadah day in, day out, people that hear him talk about halal and haram day in, day out, all based upon the Quran and the Sunnah. How likely is it that somebody like that will fall into what Nation Islam is upon? Be honest with yourself. How likely is that? Because that brings us to another qa'idah fiqhiyya, that this mas'ala is that every single mas'ala is built upon in fiqh. الحكم يدور مع علته وجودا وعدما. The ruling upon something is dependent on its cause. If the cause is there, the ruling is there. If the cause is removed, the ruling is removed. So we see that the reason for our scholars saying that you should not teach in the masajid of Ahlul Bid'ah is for a reason, a illah, a cause. There's a cause behind it. And on your appalling website, manhaj.com, the fatwa you have translated, and we shall look at it inshallah ta'ala. I should make screenshots before you delete them. The scholars mention it. They say he shouldn't do it because. He didn't say he shouldn't do it because of the hadith kada kada. No, he said he shouldn't do it because it might lead astray other people. Followers might think that that place is okay to go and study at because he went there. So if that's the reason, when that reason is removed, the reason of the tahrim, of the prohibition, is removed as well. So you see, we are fully in matters of ijtihadun. And while we're at it, Amjad Rafiq claiming that Sheikh Tahir White Hafidhahullah Ta'ala having made some watered down PR stunt for the Nation of Islam. Amjad, fairness and insaf is from the core of our deen. Alright, there's many texts from here that will tell you that. Amjad, if you know the Aqeedah of the Nation of Islam, you will know that one of their core manhaj issues is their batini interpretation of the Quran, if you understand what that means. And the recording is out there that Sheikh Tahir White did to the Nation of Islam. The recording is out there. What did Sheikh Tahir White tackle in that particular speech? Exactly that. And he did it in a very, very, very nice matter. Dear viewers, please search the speech of Tahir White. Don't take my word, just search it. It's out there on YouTube. Okay? Listen to it carefully. See how he strategically brought the listeners to understand that tafsir of the Quran has to be done in accordance to the Sunnah, not clashing with the Sunnah, and referring to the Sahaba. Now, anybody who listened to that particular speech and follows that advice will de facto leave the Nation of Islam. So where are we in this particular mas'ala here? Would it be haram for him to do that, or would it be wajib for him to do that if he has the ability to do so? Because in the Quran and the Sunnah we have qat'i proof on the obligation of da'wah. Qat'i, all over. بلغوا عني ولو آية, وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن, etc., etc. I mean, is more than you can count. So what would be the hukam, the fiqhi hukam of Sheikh Tahir White? He, not just any guy, random guy like me, no. Tahir White, with the level of knowledge that he has, what would be the ruling of him doing what he has done? Based on manhaj, usul al-fiqh, qawa'id al-fiqh, etc., etc. Alright, so back to what? May Allah reward Shaykh Tahir for what he did. And may Allah increase him in bravery. And may Allah protect him. Back to what Ibn Taymiyyah said. Ibn Taymiyyah said that you are right in part of what you have affirmed for yourself. Your kalam that you should stay from Ahl al-Bid'ah, etc., this is right. However, you are wrong in what you're negating with your opponent. Because there is more to it than the little bit that you have understood. Moving forward. Then, Ibn Taymiyyah says, الاختلاف على ما ذكره الله في القرآن قسمان. There are, in this particular, let's we say the spiritual aspect of khilaf, we have two types. أحدهما يذم الطائفتين جميعا كما في قوله لا يزالوا مختلفين ولا يزالون مختلفين ولا يزالون مختلفين إلا من رحم ربك. They will remain in disagreement, quarreling, arguing. They will remain in disagreement إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّ, except for the ones that Allah is bestowing His mercy upon. Ya Subhanallah. فجعل أهل الرحمة مستثنين من الخلاف. How severe is this people? The people who are constantly in khilaf, they are the ones that have been deprived from the mercy of Allah. وذلك بأن الله نزل الكتاب بالحق وإن الذين اختلفوا في الكتاب لفي شقاق بعيد. And this is because Allah has sent down the book in right, in truth. And verily those that are disagreeing upon it, diverging upon it, are in some far splitting. وكذلك قوله وما اختلف الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءهم العلم بغيا بينهم. And those that have received the book haven't disagreed up until ilm, knowledge, has come to them. So the people who have received the book, like us Muslims, we have the Quran. We haven't disagreed up until knowledge came to us. Subhanallah. Why? بغيا بينهم. Out of baghi, amongst each other. Transgression. So this is what I was telling you about. In Raf'ul Malam, Ibn Taymiyyah speaks about the technical reasons for disagreeing. Qat'i dalil, ijtihadi, scholars understanding different things, scholars disagreeing upon the authenticity of that. Those are technical matters. Well-intentioned people, because as human beings our intellectual capacity are limited and diverse, we are bound to disagree, and this is part of the test that Allah has put upon us. So well-intentioned individuals will disagree. However, they will have a certain behavior with each other when they disagree. And this is why Ibn Taymiyyah talks about this in Raf' al-Malam. See that high look, this is why we disagree. We shouldn't split. Now Ibn Taymiyyah is speaking about the spiritual matter. Here we're talking about splitting. And what is the reason for splitting? The reason for splitting is not dalil, ijtihadi, manhaj. No. The reason for splitting is what? Baghyan baynahum. Transgressing against each other. So the problem now, it's not here. It's not an intellectual problem. The problem is here. As he shall mention later on. Other matter. You see in this ayat the danger, the severity of the description that Allah gives concerning disagreement. It's a severe matter. How is it that we have people who run into disagreement like charging bulls? If you ask a scholar a question like, Ya Shaykh, what do you think of this qawl? He would say, no, this is not correct because, of this and this, and he'll give you a adilla breakdown. If you tell him, Ya Shaykh, what do you think of the scholar of, and then you mention one of his peers who says kada wa kada, you will see that a lot of scholars, they will go. They'll remain quiet. They either remain quiet for quite some time, or they will just remain quiet and they will not answer, and they'll just divert onto something else. If they do answer, they might say, well, that is a legitimate qawl. Our madhab, or my madhab, or my opinion is that this and this and this, because of, and then he gives you his breakdown, his ijtihad. That is how scholars behave with disagreeing. Our non-scholars, they rush into it like that. وقوله إن الذين فرقوا دينهم وكانوا شيعا لست منهم في شيء. Sorry, before that. ولا تكونوا كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاءهم البينات. Once again, don't be like the ones
who disagreed, اختلفوا تفرقوا واختلفوا. They disagree and they split. It's not only disagreeing. You see, scholars disagree, but it's disagreeing and splitting. من بعد ما جاءهم البينات. After the clarifications have come to them. So we see that what we're dealing with here is not a matter of things being unclear. Allah says, من بعد ما جاءهم البينات. After the bayinat, the clarities have come to them. This is why we split. So that's a problem here. بغيا بينهم. Transgressing against each other. It's not a problem of not understanding, because not understanding amongst people who have a minimum of knowledge, it doesn't lead to splitting. إن الذين فرقوا دينهم وكانوا شيعا لست منهم في شيء. Verily, the ones that have split up their religion and turned into Shia factions. لست منهم في شيء. You have nothing to do with them, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Brothers, the brothers and sisters who understand Arabic, what's the meaning of لست منهم في شيء? How severe is that expression? You, Ya Muhammad, you have nothing to do with these people. You are free of these people. Look it up in the tafsir. That's what it says. وكذلك وصف اختلاف النصارى وأغرينا بينهم العداوة والبغضاء إلى يوم القيامة. And we have put animosity and hatred amongst them. That's what we're dealing with here. Animosity and hatred. It has nothing to do with ilm, sunnah, manhaj. No. We are disconnected from this. This is a matter of animosity, hatred. Further on, واختلاف اليهود وألقينا بينهم العداوة والبغضاء إلى يوم القيامة فتقطعوا أمرهم بينهم زبرا كل حزب بما لديهم فرحون. What's the meaning of that? كل حزب بما لديهم فرحون. A very wrong understanding of the word of hizb. That's a political party. Political parties are hizbs, ahzab, but that's not what it's limited to. Hizb, as we shall see also inshallah ta'ala in a coming episode, what's the meaning of hizbiyah? Partisanship is wala and bara upon other than the Quran and the Sunnah. That's what it means. Is that you have either a book or an individual, whoever is in accordance with him, you have wala for him. Whoever is in disaccordance with him, you have adawa for him. You allege with the one who is in accordance with that, and you take as an enemy whoever is not in accordance with that, regardless of all of this Quran, Sunnah, manhaj, etc. It's about individual. So that's a hizb. He says, كل حزب بما لديهم فرحون. Every hizb rejoices with what they have. What is it? What بما لديهم فرحون? Allah says, فبفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا. From the tafsir of this ayah is the fadlullah and is the bounty of Allah, and His rahmah is the book and the sunnah. The ilm, the correct ilm of the sharia, the fact that this religion has been preserved. That's what we should rejoice about. Right? And these guys here, they rejoice about something else. They rejoice about what they have. What do they have? Oh, Sheikh Fulan who has this status is, we are with him. Ha 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 ha. That's some of what is meant in this ayah. Moving forward. Then, كذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لما وصف أن الأمة تتفرق أو تفترق على 73 فرقة قال كلها في النار إلا واحدة وهي الجماعة. وفي رواية أخرى من كان على مثل ما أنا عليه اليوم وأصحابي. You know this hadith, the hadith of the splitting. Right? So again, let's just be honest. 5 minutes. All the su'fuqi stuff and the hashtag stuff and all these kind of things. Where is this from? What the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba were upon. In what does that reflect their lifestyle, their maturity, their level of piety, worship, etc. Good question for you. So now he goes on to say, وهذا الاختلاف المذموم من الطرفين يكون سببه تارة فساد النية لما في النفوس من البغي والحسد وإرادة العلو في الأرض. So this blameworthy khilaf has different reasons. It can be because of, and it's the first thing he mentions. Why would he mention this first? لما في النفوس من البغي, because of what's in the souls from baghi, transgression, hasad, jealousy, envy, وإرادة العلو في الأرض, and wanting to have the highest status amongst people. As I said, it's not a matter of dalil, it's not a matter of minhaj, it's a matter that has a problem here, because the dalil and the minhaj are clear. And Shaykh Tahir White going to teach in Nation of Islam, there is no issue with that. So, we said those are the reasons. He wants to have ulu fil ard, he has hasad, baghi. And because of this, that leads him to blame the position or the opinion of the other person, or his action, or he constantly wants to overcome him in debate. So you see the connection? The reason for blaming the other person is not necessarily jahl. It can be like Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah says, baghi, outright transgression. And also because of this, it leads him to يوافق ويحب قول من يوافقه في نسب أو مذهب أو بلد أو صداقة. And it leads him to love, to like whoever agrees with him. And this could be agreeing with him in matters of kinship. Yani he's actually from your kinship, from your tribe, from your race, from your nation, from whatever, from your country, from your hood, whatnot. Or madhabin, or not, you like this guy just because he's on your madhab. And madhab, we're not talking about madhab al-fiqhiyah. With a madhab in the broad sense, is like your collection of opinions that make up what you stand for. أو بلد أو صداقة ونحو ذلك. And لما في قيام قوله من حصول الشرف والرئاسة, because his position will lead you to have sharaf and ri'asa, nobility and presidency. So again, just to recapitulate this, a reason for this khilaf is not dalil. It is hasad, baghi, and wanting to gain the upper status on earth. And this leads you to do what? To be better than the other person? No, it leads you to blame the opinion of the other person. And it also leads you to have allegiance to everybody who will agree with you in your bundle of masail right here, because this will help you gaining status. It's Shaykh al-Islam talking, people. It's not Abdullah the Luxi inventing stuff. ويكون سببه تارا, another reason for this to happen, جهل المختلفين بحقيقة الأمر الذي يتنازعان فيه, أو الجهل بالدليل الذي يرشد به أحدهما الآخر, أو جهل إهداهما مع الآخر بما مع الآخر من الحق. Another reason is that they are ignorant about the reality, the core matter that they are disagreeing about, or they don't understand the dalil. So here we see that's maybe a jahl linked to, or a problem linked to ignoring or not understanding, misunderstanding of the deen. However, this should not lead you to splitting if it's strictly based on this. Then he said, وَجَهْلُ وَالظُّلْمُ هُمَا أَصْلُ كُلِّ شَرٍّ كَمَا قال سبحانه وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. So, أَمَّا أَنْوَاعُهُ. Right, what we're going to do is, this video has been quite long. I shall stop for now here, and the rest will follow in a coming episode, insha'Allah ta'ala. So again, to sum up, these are spiritual matters. And we see that a lot of what's going on, and we shall analyze some of what is on that tabloid website from Rudud that is using the aqwal of the ulama. This is a manipulation, and it is a misuse or putting things in their wrong context or in their wrong topic. And that most of what we're dealing with. And this is something, ikhwan, I know that most of the people who are going to watch this just agree with me anyway, and they're just watching this for entertainment. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're also watching to learn something. When we blame, when we read something like that and we feel that this applies to the opposite party, what as believers, ikhwan and akhawat, as believers, we must use this as an opportunity for introspection. and ask ourselves deep question is that, where have I fallen into that? Okay, fair enough. Now it's clear cut that Jama'ah, they have fallen into this. Naharan jiharan. But we got to ask ourselves, because the reality is that we don't just differ with them, we also differ amongst us. We have issues amongst us, be it on the individual level or on the group level. We have arguments, disputes, and splitting and backbiting each other on matters that are by no means justified and that enter exactly in what Shaykhul Islam rahimahullah ta'ala has mentioned here. So this is for us to understand, as we have seen, the severity of splitting and disagreeing. It's not an easy matter. It's not like you know, having done tayammum in a situation where most scholars would have said that you should have done wudu here. However, you still have, you know, a qawl of a scholar that does justify what you have done. It's a severe issue. So it must, this whole event, these events, they must be an opportunity for us to introspect and understand what have I done wrong? For example, that year when I disagree with Fulan, was my disagreement with Fulan really justified? Were we disagreeing upon dalil and ijtihad, or were we just transgressing against each other? If we were disagreeing upon matters of ijtihad, genuine ilmi matters, have we dealt with it in the way that scholars deal with it? Have we dealt with it in a way that is in accordance with the Quran and the Sunnah? And have we avoided splitting? Or have we fallen into this and have we caused other people to split? Have we caused decades-long friendship to be broken of other people, followers of us, because we have disagreed with somebody? Those are fundamental questions that we need to ask ourselves at this junction. Because ikhwan, as I have mentioned to you, Shaykhul Islam started his other book about khilaf with the obligation to have wala for the believers. And brothers and sisters, wherever you're from, Arabs, Asians, black, white, all over the globe, we need each other. And I allow myself to mention to you an anecdote as mentioned by Shaykh Salih al-Suhaimi, hafidhahullah ta'ala. Shaykh Salih al-Suhaimi narrates something that happened to him. One day he was given a lecture, and you know, the majority of the mashayikh, and especially the mashayikh who have been deprived of their sight, the blind mashayikh, like Shaykh Salih al-Suhaimi, hafidhahullah ta'ala, they have somebody who reads out the book, and then the shaykh asks him to stop at a certain point, and then the shaykh comments on the meanings of the book. So the person who's going to read out the book for the shaykh is usually going to be somebody who came quite close to the shaykh. And they're usually going to be sitting together in the house and preparing a lesson, and you know, they're going to be quite close, you know, and this person is going to give him feedback from the tulab in the majlis who might have sent questions and, you know, say, hi, you know, people are requesting that, you know, you talk about this issue, that issue, like you said last time, this is unclear, can you, all right? So this person must have, over the years, come really close to the shaykh. So it's been a year-long process. One day, while they were leaving a lecture, he said, yeah, shaykh, you know, Shaykh Fulan, some other one of the mashayikh from Saudi Arabia, he's warning against you now. And before the guy finished his sentence, the shaykh got furious. He said, be quiet! Never, ever do this again. I don't want to hear such things. And that was it. He says, a few days later, that particular shaykh, that this guy had mentioned him, called Shaykh Salih al-Suhaimi. Assalamu alaikum, shaykh, how are you doing? This and that. He said, shaykh, I heard you warning against me because you claimed that I did such and such and such. And Shaykh Salih said, Subhanallah, I was told the same thing against you. And then the Shaykh said, this particular individual vanished. He disappeared. Nowhere to be seen. What does that tell you? How many years of effort have gone into this covert agent to come close to the Shaykh, and how much training has he got to be able to get into the inner circles of a scholar just to try and put beef between him and another scholar? What kind of investment have the enemies of Islam made for the purpose of us splitting? So ikhwan, everybody, this is a point where we need to introspect and ask ourselves, where are we in all of this? And not just say, oh, look at what battle these people are upon. Yeah, if it helps you feel reassured that this is battle and you don't have to indulge in this childish su'ufuqi hashtag and all the other stuff that comes along with it, if you feel more at peace now in your religion, if you feel better in your worship, then I can only thank Allah for having given me the tawfiq and the opportunity for having helped you with that. However, I don't want you to become arrogant and believe that we are exempt from this. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.